Thanks, man. Take it easy. I know where I'm going. Early in the morning, 7 o'clock meeting with a mentee, grabbing some breakfast. I love hanging out with younger folks and just talking candidly and honestly about our professional lives and the decisions we have to make around our careers and jobs. And I just think back when I was a bit younger and how I would have loved to hang out with just a bunch of older folks consistently and ask the hard questions about my work and the decisions around not just the companies but my profession, and I love giving that back to younger folks, so younger guys and gals, and helping them get a leg up on their decision making. So here we are at the Creamery, right across from 4th and King, San Francisco Caltrain, and see if we can grab some breakfast.
1 hour later.
Had a great breakfast. Man, so I see this a lot. A very common situation with younger professionals or just really starting out their career is they simply don't fight hard enough for their career. It's not that they're necessarily timid, and it's not that you're necessarily timid. It's just there's something missing, because no one cares more about your career than you, and that's how it should be. And so this young guy, he's not being treated fairly, he's not getting paid what he's worth, he's not at peace when he goes to bed because he knows he's not being treated fairly. And so that's what him and I are working on, is how does he stand up for himself this year, take a little bit more initiative with his career, fight for what's fair so that his career can accelerate. And this is not about ego, this is not arrogance. He's the most modest and humble guy, and that's one of the problems, is he just kind of gets rolled over, and people just walk over him when in terms of his career. But now this has to be the year where he really steps it up, really defends himself. I hope the same thing for you. If you feel like you're not being treated fairly, it's your job to fix that situation. All right, story time.
Time for a story.
The reason why I get so passionate about this idea is because I remember what it was like. I remember what it's like to not be treated fairly, to not take my career seriously, to really own my career, to be the guy responsible. So we backtrack more than a decade and a half or whatever. If you can imagine, 22-year-old John Saddington, recently graduated from college, and 6 months out of college, I had not only gone through one job, but two, gotten married, and my wife was pregnant. Damn! So hopefully that sufficiently paints a very broad and accurate and very raw picture of where I was.
We at war. We at war with terrorism, racism, but most of all, we at war with ourselves. God, show me the way, because the devil's trying to break me down. In the valley of the shadow where death is, top floor, if you alone and leave you breathless.
I had about $206 in my checking account. And so it was this moment in time I can distinctly remember where I said, no one is more responsible for my career than me, and no one should fight for it harder than me. I moved back into my parents' house, and it was this small room over my parents' garage, and it really wasn't even technically a room. You put carpet down, and it was like a crawl space, if you will, but it was high enough where you could actually stand. And I felt like an absolute failure. Professionally, personally, relationally, I couldn't have thought of any worse way to start a new marriage, and certainly with a baby on the way. And so I can distinctly remember sitting in this small room with my wife, and we're just talking it over. And it suddenly dawns on me that I've always felt responsible for my career, but I didn't know how. And I certainly didn't have a very significant why. But now I did. What I realized was my previous jobs, I just wasn't being treated fairly for the skills that I had, the experiences that I had. I've been a software developer at a Fortune 50 when I was 15. So it's not that I didn't have a copious amount of experience. I did, but I just didn't have ownership quite yet, like real authentic ownership around my career. And so I had to learn that. I had to learn to fight hard for what I felt was fair. I had to fight hard for what I felt was equitable. And I didn't need to be overpaid either. That's the thing. There was no arrogance. There was no ego here. It was just, I had a family coming. My wife depended on me. This new kid depended on me. And it accelerated my thinking around what it meant to be a professional, what it meant to be treated well, what it meant to be paid fairly. So that was a huge, huge year for me. And one of the most important years of my life.
Make 100K a year. Do you know why I don't? Because I love this job. I thank God for every fucking day that he gives me in the Corps. Ooh, wow.
And so that's what I want for you, and that's what I want for my friend and some of the other folks that I mentor, is this needs to be the year where you fight harder for what is fair. And I want to be very careful, because this is not the millennial angst. This is not the, God, like everything should be served to me on a silver platter. The folks who watch this, the community that we're building here on the vlog, no, we're a bunch of people who work hard. We have big dreams, but we work hard and we put in our time, but we know we can go the extra step. And it doesn't matter if you've just starting your career or you've been a career professional for 20 years, like you still may struggle with that. You still may go to sleep feeling like this is just not fair. I know what I'm worth, and I need to make this equitable. 2017 has to be the year where you say, I'm gonna fight harder for my career. I'm gonna fight harder for what's fair. I'm gonna fight harder for a better role, better job, a better opportunity. I'm gonna fight harder for better relationships, more healthy, dynamic relationships that have real substance and meaning behind them. Okay, so I could go on and on and on, but I think story time's over.
And I don't think there's nothing I could do now to right my wrong.